Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. If you are going to hang out with somebody, Robin, you should hang out with somebody like Jan Epstein. At least that's what I think.
I think so, too.
When you read the book, you say, oh, my gosh, this lady sounds like she's fun, right?
She's wonderful.
But if I read her bio, it says she's got a obsessive compulsive?
Compulsive, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe I got that, too. Maybe I got a little bit of that, too. I got to turn the switch off twice when you leave the room. Or on twice when I come in the room.
Yeah, there you go.
Jen is on the phone. Jen Epstein. She wrote the book called Don't Get Too Excited. It's just about a pair of shoes and other laments from my life.
I think it's a fun book. She's something.
Her mini bio says that she's an activist, a worker bee. She suffered as a child from anxiety and irrational fears, which is why I think she's going to be fun to hang out with. She held positions in the TV industry. She works as a project manager for the non-fiction media company Discovery. Oh, really? And she's got a book called Don't Get Too Excited. I won't, Jen. I'm not going to get too excited. Come on, Jen. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm not too excited. Just a little. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York.
Yeah. How's the weather today?
It's a bit chilly. It's a little bit of a chill in the air. Yeah, we're expecting some flurries, but I'm guessing that it's not that you're not having that kind of weather right now.
No, we don't have that, but we do have close ties to New York. I'm from there. Robin's got a son there.
Yeah.
There's going to be one more New Yorker just a little bit. He'll be born December 26th or something like that.
Christmas baby.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, she's grandma. Robin's going to be a grandma, so. Yeah. So, Jen, tell me about yourself. Am I right? Yeah, are you fun to hang out with?
I think I am. Yeah, my friends would say I am.
I would say so. Yeah. So do you use the expression "don't get too excited" a lot?
Yes. Pretty much within each sentence.
Don't get too excited. That's kind of funny. Did you ever work in a job where you were on the phone a lot, or do you do that now?
Yeah, I work with a lot of clients now, and yeah, even in my earlier years, I did some telemarketing, so I spent a lot of time on the phone.
See, I love that. You have so many great reviews, by the way. I think that's always a good sign, and not that I always listen to what reviewers say, but I think sometimes it helps. All right.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So do you read them?
Which reviews have you read?
Well, that's what So do you read your reviews?
A bottle of champagne.
Well, let's see. Somebody who said Larry David and Carrie Bradshaw in one. They kind of teamed up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. That is one of my favorites.
Well, you had a lot to overcome, though, when you were a child. You had learning disabilities, and you didn't let that slow you down.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it took me It took me a few years to kind of catch up, but then I would take that and run with it. So, yep, I've in my adult life I've done a lot. I did graduate school while working full time, and a fellowship while working full time, and now writing a book while working full time. So, yeah, I don't shy away from from challenges.
So where did you grow up?
Every day is a challenge. So.
I love you.
Getting out of bed is a challenge.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in central New Jersey, near. I'm trying to think of what the closest town would be: Edison or Metuchen, or yeah.
Sort of kind of know that area.
From there.
And was that was that your formative years, or did you stay there? How did you get out of there?
Yeah. How did I get out of there? Yeah, those were my formative years, and then I did 2 years of high school abroad, and I did my undergraduate work also in New Jersey at Ramapo, small liberal arts school. And let's see, and then I lived in New Jersey for a little while after in the Montclair area. After I finished undergraduate, and then I moved to the big city, big New York, and I've been there since for over 12 years now.
Why did you choose Israel to study in?
I don't know if it was exactly a choice. that was pretty much that was the option that was offered to me. I had wanted to get out of the small town suburban life, and that was the option that was offered to me. So,
is that right? Now, how was Israel while you were there? I mean, it's always been obviously a country that's everybody's threatening that country all the time. Did you feel any of that?
Yeah, there was definitely some tension going on while I was there. We had a few close calls while I was there.
Really?
But overall, I mean, things were very peaceful, and
well, see,
I was in sort of like a farm area,
that's
an
nice.
agricultural. Yeah, I went to an agricultural high school, so we learned how to work with the animals and pick grapefruits in the fields and all that stuff.
So, in the information in your book and in the bio stuff, it sounds like irrational fears is part of something you've had to accept as part of yourself. To me, those would be rational fears. I think I'd be right. I'd be right with you about. Yeah, that's not irrational.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. You know, like sometimes if you say that there's fear about drinking water, that's not necessarily so irrational.
No, I'm with you on that one.
Depends where you are.
And you were in Costa Rica, right? I'm with you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to drink that water either.
I love the fact that you have frustrations with your technical support for television. I mean, I can really sympathize with that.
Yeah, that is a fan favorite. I just did a reading a few days ago, and that really resonated with the audience because everybody can relate to that feeling of who am I talking to? Is there anybody actually there, or is this just some automated system?
I know, and they're so
like what happened to human contact? You know, so.
And when you do get a human, they're so well trained. They're so calm, and right.
They're not reading off a script at all. It's totally natural.
This is one of the great things about your book because it's just, you know, you've bared your all in your life and you made it funny, and it's everyday things that happen to everyday people.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that was my goal, was really to normalize this condition as much as possible, to just to find elements that would, for people who may not struggle with this condition, to find aspects that would be relatable to people that they would be able to latch on, and for people who either may struggle with OCD or with an anxiety condition, just to normalize it for them and to let them know that they're not alone and that, you know, look, if I could survive it, anybody can.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that's why the reviewer is comparing you to Larry David. It's that whole thing of living in this world and being a little bit anxious about kind of everything around every corner.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it is a condition of our times, right? So, I mean, there's so much, you know, we're all so busy. We have so much going on in our lives with our families and with our jobs, and, you know, it's enough to give anybody a nervous eyelid twitch, right?
Yeah.
But you do have, you know, touching emotional moments in your book also, and not just the humor. I mean, you talk about motherhood.
Yes, absolutely, and worrying that I, you know, could pass certain traits onto my child, and, you know, would I really want them to have to to have to go through that and have to find ways to cope and find, if whether it's humor or whether it's strength, would I really want, my child to have to go through that too.
So who was your anchor? I mean, who in your life when you were younger, especially, was the person who you felt like made sense and they were down to earth, and you always wondered, well, why do I worry so much? This person doesn't worry. Who was that person?
Probably a therapist. I mean, honestly, having two mental health professional parents, I was pretty much in one form of therapy or another from the time I could walk. No, it's a slight exaggeration, but not really.
So how many children do you have? How many children?
Oh, I don't have any kids.
Oh, you don't have any kids? Okay.
Yeah.
Robin was
No.
for motherhood. Okay. So you write about motherhood as a potential future thing?
Yes, as a potential future thing. My various concerns about having kids, and also how I would really like to either adopt or foster a child who needs a loving home.
Yeah.
But it's
I could easily.
I'm single and I live in New York, and it's not
It's
not financially the easiest, and it's not. Yeah, and it's a busy city and it's an expensive city, so
Yeah.
there's a lot to consider.
Well, if this blessing ever happens for you, I can imagine the child will be the exact opposite, and he or she will say, "Mom, would you stop worrying? I'm okay." That's gonna be. That's
probably true, and I'll say, but I'm worried that you're just humoring me.
Yeah. So how was your relationship with your parents? You said they were both professional in psychology. Is that what you said?
Yeah, my mother was a social worker. My father is a psychologist. There were different. There was some years where I lived with my father. There were some years where I lived with my mother after they divorced, and it was on and off. There were a number of years where I didn't have a close relationship with my mom, but as an adult, I have a very close relationship with her.
Well, that happens. Yeah, we go back and forth, I think, as we emerge from into the world, right?
You talk about decision making, and you equate it with laundry.
Yes.
It's kind of funny.
With laundry, yes, yeah. Anybody who lives in a city knows that it's not what is considered a amenity is laundry in your building, and most of us do not have that amenity. So finding time to do your laundry and to get your laundry from point A to point B is challenging for anybody. But then when I have all of my I have my shtick. I have my routine that I have to go through. That adds on, another 2 hours or so to an already busy schedule. There is decision making based on my schedule, based on. Are the machines working properly?
Yeah, really.
Is somebody going to touch my stuff before I have a chance to put the fabric softener in? That sort of thing. So
So tell me,
it is a challenge.
I think you've probably had this question before, but it sounds like you'd be a natural for the stand-up comic career. Have you tried this?
I have thought about doing some open mic. Yeah, this is something that has been suggested to me, and so as I'm doing readings, I'm sort of trying different routines out to see, how stand up would work for me.
What's that, Mrs. Marcel? What's that show, Mrs. something?
Yeah, Fabulous Mrs. Maisel. Yeah.
That's you. You could be doing that.
Just carrying a journal around with me and just showing up in a club and shutting it down.
So what do you do? What do you do you work for the Discovery Channel? Is that right, or some?
Yeah, I do some project management. It's funny because I did an event at my office because one of the ways that this book came together was through a writers group that was started through one of my coworkers, and in his introduction he said, "I have no idea what Jen does. I just know it's really important."
I love that.
and I said, "Yep." And I'm a writer, and I'm supposed to be good with language, and I don't know how to explain it either. So,
well, your bedside manner, I don't think, was lost on the on the nurses and the medical staff that was there during your hospital stay.
Yeah, I think they were very happy to see me go.
Yeah, but everything you write about is true. I mean, gosh, if anybody's ever stayed in the hospital.
Yeah, and that's what makes it funny, I think. I think your humor comes from the truth. And when we see it, when we see the truth and recognize it, and you know, that actually helps the rest of us, because if you're actually worried about something, I said something to Robin the other day, whatever was bothering us, I said, if this was a sitcom, we'd be laughing at it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I wanted people to through humor, I wanted people to also be able to relate to sort of the routine of them coming and taking your vitals every 3 hours, and just sort of like the dismissiveness of, oh yeah, we'll be back, but then they just disappear. And if you
did you have a roommate
going on? Oh yeah, I had a roommate.
I want to hear I want to hear why you answered that way. What was your roommate like?
Yeah, well, because one of my big triggers is, fear of germs, fear of contamination, and I had a roommate who was recovering from pneumonia, so it wasn't exactly.
Oh no!
He was hacking and coughing and sputum, and I'm like, get me out of here.
Oh my gosh!
Was ready to plan an escape route out of tunnel my way home.
Oh my gosh! You need a sitcom. You need a show. Oh my gosh! This sounds like you've got everything you need to make a show, a funny hit show.
I love how you describe yourself as a worker bee, because sometimes people will do something, they'll have an idea, they'll put forth an effort, and then they'll just sit back and say, okay, now notice me, but not you. You're right up front with everything you do. I think that's fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm getting older, and it's to put on airs. It's first of all, it doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody, and second of all, who has the patience?
I have an idea for your show. It's That Girl of the 21st Century. Just
okay.
Started out the way what was that? What was the lady's?
Marlo Thomas.
Yeah, started out that way, and then have the record scrape across, and then say, well, forget that. This is the new way, right?
Yeah.
This is the new way.
Yeah. Let's pitch it to the networks. You guys can executive produce.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I think I got enough money for that. Yeah.
You also talk about the weight, the issues.
Yes, yeah. I mean, body image was definitely, and continues to be, a big issue for me. I hate clothes shopping. I hate shoe shopping. If I could walk around in a burlap sack all day, that would be wonderful. And shoeless, but I couldn't walk around shoeless, because then how would I deal with the fear of contamination?
Right.
Right.
So but yeah, looking, being in that dressing room and just.
So when you
glaring at myself, like, oh,
Jen,
but a lot of people relate to that. So.
Absolutely, a lot, yeah. Jen, when you look back on your life, right, and you realize that all the things you worried about didn't really amount, you didn't have to worry about them now that you are in the future from those times. Does that knowledge make the what is it called, OCD? Obsessive, right?
Compulsive.
OCD?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that make it easier? I mean, the older you get, does it become easier because you realize, well, I'm probably worrying for nothing, or does it make it harder?
You'd like to think it would make it easier, right?
Right.
But then, a whole new set of fears will crop up. So you're like, okay, I managed this one. I made it over that hurdle, but now there's a new one that I have to. I talk about in the book all the what if scenarios. So there's always a new what if scenario.
So where or when do you feel safest?
Hiding under my covers now.
Oh, that's a good answer. Yeah. Is that true? Is that safe?
Well, I don't know, because what if I got smothered by the blanket? So.
There you go. There you go.
Nowhere. I'm not safe anywhere.
I sort of have a weird answer. If I was to ask myself that question, it would be the waiting room at the tire store.
Really?
Yeah, because you got to wait a long freaking time for those tires to get put on the car, and you really have nothing to worry about because there's a pot of coffee and a TV. What else do you need?
Well, that's true. That's true. Until the coffee runs out and there's none in the supply room.
See, this is why you'd be fun.
Exactly.
See? These are the what if scenarios. They ran out of coffee. What do we do?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! I think the world's been waiting for you to write this book. I have a copy of this called "Don't Get Too Excited." I'd love to give it away to somebody. The rest of us have to go buy it. If you call me, I'll pick one, call it random, and it's yours. Let's see. I found it on Amazon. Like I mentioned, you're getting really good reviews. Do you have a different website you want to direct us to?
So people can follow me on Facebook. Don't Get Too Excited Book. And I have a Twitter account at DGTE, an Instagram account, DGTE Book. And the website is in progress, so I can send that information to you guys.
Okay,
that'd be great.
In the meantime, Amazon will work. Thank you, Jen. Have a great. Would you celebrate Hanukkah?
Yes, I do.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, happy Hanukkah. We have a rabbi coming in later on today to talk about Hanukkah.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. A 17-year-old Bellevue High School student has died from injuries sustained in a single-vehicle accident in Ocala on Wednesday evening near the Four Ranch subdivision. An 11th grade student at Forest High School has been arrested after sending a photo of a gun to students in the school cafeteria. 5 Polk County junior high school students have been hospitalized after eating candy laced with marijuana. Workers picking up trash